Okay,
Yeah.
I would say,
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, guys. We are live
I
on
would like to
show.
say good
We
evening
are
to
in
everyone.
Do Digest episode number 12. We are live. So we have our guests, prestigious guests from different countries this time. Once again, we're going to have guests from South Asian countries. Like yesterday, we had guests from Pakistan and Bangladesh. Today, we have guests from Nepal, Afghanistan, and India. So it's nice to have you all. Three guys in a show. So let me introduce the guests we have for tonight. Let me start with alphabetical order. Mr. Diyanat Ali, who is an organizer from in India. Mr. Diyanat Ali is an outdoorsman, adventurer. He is also founder of Great Hyderabad Adventure Club. He is also an organizer of Hyderabad Triathlon. He also conducted the Hyderabad Kayakathon, Hyderabad Yachting Club, and he also organized birds, birders, etc. So we're going to have next guest, as per alphabetical order, Mr. Gull Hussian from Afghanistan. He is a race director of Marathon of Afghanistan. And we have next guest from Nepal, Mr. Nilendra Raj Shrestha. He is the chief organizer of Kathmandu
Hi.
Marathon since 2007. He is the Secretary General of Nepal Olympic Committee. He is President of South Asian Triathlon Association. He is President of Nepal Triathlon Association. He is also a member of Olympic Council of Asia Culture Committee. Thanks a lot for having you all in a show. I would like to welcome you all. So let me start with Mr. Diyanat Ali, as per alphabetical order, like I said. Uh, Mr. Ali, it's been an honor to have you. There were a lot of athletes who took part in Hyderabad Triathlon from different parts of the world, especially from India and Bangladesh as well. Could you please explain me about how you started the great Hyderabad Adventure Club, and as well as how did you get collaborated with Hyderabad Triathlon?
Yeah. Thank you, Vijay.
So
It's
I could
pleasure to
get
be here.
only half what you said. I don't know. I have problem with the internet because now
Yeah,
I said yes to you this afternoon, but I was
yeah,
invited in my friend's place. I'm here in my friend's place,
yeah.
so I'm sorry for this disturbance. I I couldn't hear you good. I don't know how good you are hearing from
No,
my
I can
voice.
hear you very
Can
well.
you hear me
Yeah, I can
clear?
hear you. Yeah, perfect,
I can.
perfect. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
then
we have
I think that you asked me about how I started Kathmandu Marathon, right?
no, we are starting as per the alphabetical order. So Mr. Diyanat Ali is the
Yeah.
first as per D. So we'll go on as per alphabetical order. So Mr. Diyanat Ali will be talking about Hyderabad Triathlon and Great Hyderabad Adventure Club. Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you,
No.
Vijay. It's pleasure being here. And let me tell you the story of the Great Hyderabad Adventure Club. I started this more as a hobby when I was working in the IT company. Wanted to do something different over the weekend.
Well,
And
looks
Hyderabad
like
is
it.
blessed with a lot of rocks. There
Yeah.
are a lot of granite rocks all over the city near my home. I have grown up among these rocks, and the favorite activity is on the weekend just go hang out in these rocks, do some camping, do some climbing, and all. And there are some good forest areas around Hyderabad as well. I used to frequent them. And in 2008 is when I thought of starting the adventure club and sharing this hobby with others.
Yeah.
This is
Sound good.
where I put up online and invited few friends to join me on various events. So we started with trekking, hiking, rock climbing, kayaking, and a lot of other activities. We traveled all over India also doing scuba diving, paragliding, and variety of adventures. And Hyderabad is known for a city as a laid-back city back then. Not many activities were happening, and people watched us. I mean, there are few people doing something, and slowly the youngsters got interested in this. And we had a membership of 1,000 people in about a year. And that is when I thought that I alone cannot run this and I would need a team. So I invited all people, different professionals from different areas, sports and activities to join me, formed a committee of organizers, and then we started doing specialized activities. We had a rock climbing division, we had a nature division, then we have sports division. So in 2011, we started with cycling, we started with swimming, we started with running. And one of our organizers, Deepa Morparia, it was his idea. He said, let's do a triathlon. And the first triathlon we did was with 50 people. And that was done at a swimming pool. We choose a road that is a little off traffic, and we conducted it. And we saw good interest, and that was the first triathlon ever happened in Hyderabad. And a lot of people were interested. Then we did a second one immediately in 6 months. Then we had almost triple the people, 150. And in 2012 and 13, we thought that let's expand it. So we did it in the Gachibowli Stadium. And then we saw it slowly growing up. So we are from 300 to 400 to 600. Then we have 1,000. And in 2017 is when we reached almost 2,000 people. They were coming from various parts of India, including the subcontinent. And 2019, we recently conducted it as well. So the triathlon is now almost 9 years going on. We are not sure how it would be due to COVID this year. However, we'd like to conduct it whenever feasible. Apart from triathlon, we also do the Hyderabad Rockathon. It's a one-day adventure that is done around rocks. So you have around 20 different activities like rappelling, you have bouldering, you have climbing, you have zip line. A lot of activities that attracts children. It attracts a lot of families who come there. We also do the Hyderabad bird race with the Deccan birders here. So very diverse activities that we do. And we have very large membership. We have almost 35,000 members in the club who regularly do these activities. And all of them are interested in different things, sports, adventure sports, nature, trekking, hiking, camping. However, majority of them do trekking and hiking, and rest of them are into adventure sports. A lot of them are into running, cycling, swimming, and triathlon is a very special event that we do. It's the earliest event, and we have a good, strong team that plans us almost 6 months, and every event has been very safe and successful. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's a great thing to hear from you. Now, moving on to Mr. Gull Hussian from Afghanistan. It's like we are all eager to know about Afghanistan. Thanks to media, it's not bringing us about the events which are happening in Afghanistan. So we are all like, oh, what is happening in Afghanistan? What kind of sports are happening? What events are there? Even when we browse, we get very little information. Then I came to know about Marathon of Afghanistan. And then it's great to know about you, Gul. So could you please share about the journey, how it started, the Marathon of Afghanistan?
Thank you so much. So my pleasure to talk with you and share my experience. So Marathon of Afghanistan in 2013. And 2013, I met two guys from UK. From where? I'm sorry. I got the phone.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, please go. Please go ahead.
Mountain.
Yeah.
And winter, and one of the mountain in Afghanistan said they were stuck, and because of heavy snow, and also their bag was stolen. So then they had nothing. So they called me. They found me to come for skiing. So when they came for skiing, I take them. And that time I was running a ski club. So then they were discussing about marathon, and this was first time I was hearing about marathon. So they left after a week. So, and this marathon keep me always always coming in my mind. Why not? Why not? I should organize in Afghanistan. So since that time, I was writing a little bit proposal, and because my background was working for the organization, I was always thinking. So I wrote a proposal. So I sent to some embassies. It was a lots of money, so no one responds me. So then I was not talking. I was keep emailing my friends. So finally, these two guys, I asked them, "Can you help me so we can organize?" Then they said, "Okay, we can help you." So then they said, "You are very busy, but we can introduce one of our friends. His name is James Bingham. So he's from Wales, to organize the Ring of Fire marathon." So then I contact him, and then he said, "Yes, we can do." So he have been to Afghanistan before as well. So then James Wilcox, he runs a tour company in UK, but he brings tours to Afghanistan. So he was my friend, and then I told him, "Can you meet James Bingham, and also you can explain about me, or because you know me better, so you can meet him and discuss if we can organize." So then they talked, they met in UK, and they came to me and said, "Yes, we can do, so we can organize a marathon in Afghanistan." So in 2015, so we plan to organize, and same time. So what happened? One of the province of Afghanistan, very important province, was close to the Taliban, and Bamyan was also so like 100 kilometers from where we are planning to organize the marathon, as Taliban is trying to enter to the city. It was so then we were thinking, can we organize this? So it was a big challenge. Everybody is in Afghanistan, so we were thinking, what should we do? So finally we said, okay, we organize this, but we will not tell anyone. So we choose a destination, a route, and we didn't tell anyone. We didn't announce on the media. We didn't invite. But same time, there was two guys from Canada. They wanted to come make a documentary. So the crazy thing is, so they made the name of this marathon the Secret Marathon. So then they made the documentary on this name, and now the Secret Marathon is now happening in Canada for fundraising. So this is now a good thing is happening for Afghanistan in Canada. So we organized for the first time the marathon. It's about 200 people was there, about the 15 internationals, and about 150 girls, and the rest was all boys and in different ages. So that was the first year in 2015. So after that, then the situation, then we were sure that we can do that. So it's happening and each year in October. So this year also we are planning in 2nd October. It's happening. So I already got the permission from government. So they allow us to organize. So last year we had about 600 people. So most of them, like 70% of them, was all girls, and about 30 international from different countries participated. So now it's one of the biggest sports event in Afghanistan. So about 600 people, and girls can run, and internationals are also part of the runners. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Gul. So it's nice to know about the history of Afghanistan's marathon. So let's move on to Mr. Nilendra Raj Shrestha. Oh, it's unbelievable. Your profile is unbelievable. You're holding such a high post in, Kathmandu Marathon, Nepal Olympic Committee, South Asian Triathlon Association, Nepal Triathlon Association, Olympic Council of Asia, whatnot. It's just such a huge designations you have. And you yourself a sports person. You are a high jumper, and you have a long history in sports. Could you please share your history of your sports first, and then how did you move on to your event management thing and Olympic committee, etc.?
Okay, thank you. Actually, I was an athlete. I went to Germany for my athletics coach training. Then after that, I studied sports for 7 years in Germany. And yeah, after that, I stayed there and married a German woman, had 2 kids, lived in Germany for 25 years. So I was involved in different uh, sports organizations also in Germany, and I had very good connection with German Olympic Committee, and as those times they had DSB, Deutsche Sportbund, like Sports Council of Germany. So I came through few marathons, and in 1987, actually I was not a runner. I played volleyball, football, in many sports, but Chisa Kahraman, and I have my friends here around, so what? But just a minute, but so I'm sorry. So
No worries.
as I said, uh, we just fixed it this afternoon, but my program was fixed
No, it's okay.
time
That's all right.
earlier. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. No
so
worries.
in 1987, I just saw one advertisement about running throughout West Germany. I was absolutely not long distance runner. So I just saw the advertisement. So I said, okay, I could try. I was a student. I had enough time to train. And I trained secretly without telling anyone. And within 8 months, because I was myself also athletics coach. So within 8 months training, I completed 1,000 kilometer in 20 days.
Oh, wow.
So after that, I had an invitation for many, many different races. So I ran Frankfurt Marathon, and I saw this whole, potentiality of marathon, and I just thought, why not? So this could be something that I could import to Nepal, and organize such a city marathon, so that lots of people can come, and this is a kind of sports tourism. So this country can earn through this marathon. So that was my idea. And in 2007, I came to Nepal. End of 2006, I came to Nepal, and 2007 October 7th, I organized this Kathmandu marathon. And actually, I was staying in Germany since 25 years, and I was also executive board member of NRN. As in India, you have NRI, we have NRN.
Yeah.
So I just thought that I could use this platform as NRN Kathmandu Marathon, so that everyone will focus on this. And this was a huge advertisement, and lots of public were, watching to this event. It went everything right. But at last, the people who committed me to support financially, so pulled back. So the first event, 2007, I lost about 100,000 plus US dollar, my personal. So after that, I said, shall I stop it or shall I continue it? Because I have already lost that much. So that means I have to continue. So I continued reducing the cash price. And now I have reached the, I've completed 13 years last year. So this year will be 14th year. So I have been continuing this, and there are lots of ups and downs. And I think I have lost, I don't want to say investment, because I never thought of earning from this race. So now slowly I have a very good team who has been working with me since many years. And now this Kathmandu Marathon is an established race in Nepal. And possibly this is the only one race which we give the date 1 year ahead. So every year in our finishing gate we'll see again and next year. So that means we are doing on the same date every year since 2007. So now, after organizing this Kathmandu Marathon, so people knew me before also as an athlete, as a national player. But after Kathmandu Marathon, this is an established race. So, I got an offer from National Sports Council to take over the presidency of Athletic Association of Nepal. So there was a dispute. So I came there and I managed to, bring people together and finish the dispute. And so at the same time, I also got an offer to become the Secretary General of Triathlon Association. So I gave up athletics and I was in triathlon. So 7 years I was Secretary General, and after that, uh, so next election, so I was offered from the then president to become the president of Triathlon Association. So I became Triathlon Association president. So at the same time, when I was Secretary General of Triathlon Federation, I was also a member of National Olympic Committee. I was elected, and after this 4 years, I even did unofficial work as Secretary General in those days also, in last 4 years. So after that, I was elected as Secretary General. Now I'm also Secretary General of Nepal Olympic Committee. So this is a brief, story about me. How after I came back from Germany, and I have been just because of Kathmandu Marathon, I have been staying continuously in Nepal. So my family lives in Germany, and I'm here. So uh, everything came gradually, which I didn't plan. So everything came like that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for sharing the wonderful story, your story from athlete to event organizer. So that's been brilliant thing. Let's move on to Mr. Diyanat Ali. Let's talk about the community aspect. We have a huge community in Hyderabad. There's no doubt about it. The community, in the sense, you have the triathlon community where people do train for running, swimming, and cycling, and of course, there are a lot of adventurers as well, I suppose. Comparing with other cities like Chennai, Bangalore, you have a lot of adventurers in Hyderabad, where you also have a lot of rocks there. So, how big is that community in Hyderabad?
So as I guess, people who are active might be around 2 lakhs to 2.5 lakhs.
Oh,
This will include the running community, and a majority of them are youngsters who are into hiking, trekking, and we also have a division of rock climbing. We have a lot of cycling clubs over here, and if you get out any morning just on the roads, you will see a lot of people into different activities. Some are cycling, some are running, some are walking. So every park you'll see a lot of people. So people are fitness conscious here, and this has changed over the last 1 decade. And more people are getting into health, wellness. It's become a very necessary part of one's life. This is also promoted by a lot of corporates. They encourage people to have a fit and healthy lifestyle. And people also know that once they go out, they'll be able to have a better work-life balance. Their moods will be better. So a lot of focus on health, and therefore people also seek variety of activities. And these activities are generally done over the weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays, a lot of people go out to many areas. We have small forest areas, a lot of trails. So people go out to 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, either cycling, or they might go for short running, or they go for trekking, hiking. So weekends, everybody just rushes out, and they come back either on Sunday evening or Monday morning. And every day, if you go out on any of the roads, you'll find a lot of runners, a lot of cyclists. who are there. So good number of active citizens around. And this is not just limited to youngsters. We also see that elderly people come out for walks. They come out for nature appreciation. There are a lot of yoga groups in the city, a lot of Tai Chi groups. People come out, they sit in the parks and all. And Hyderabad is also blessed with a lot of parks. We have national parks, we have small parks, we have municipal parks. So yeah, the city is more active. Very healthy lifestyle is carried on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to Gull. So Gull, you're talking about the community in Afghanistan. Since we hear a lot of stories about how difficult it is to have a community in Afghanistan, say a sporting community, not just running. I'm not restricting with the running. Let's talk about the sporting community. It's quite difficult. I heard that even for women, it's quite difficult for them to come out and to, involve in a running community or any cycling community, any sporting community. How does this community thing happens in Afghanistan?
Yeah. So as you know, in Afghanistan we have different ethnic groups. They are very famous. So like we have four major ethnic group. But where I'm from the Hazara, the central highlands of Afghanistan. It's the center is called Bamyan. So Bamyan, the Hazara are very relaxed people, so they are very easygoing. So we start first from there because the people are open mind, and so because the other parts like south of Afghanistan still it's not possible. So the girls have to wear burqa, and they cannot go alone without any family member. So there is still problems, but when we start from Bamyan at the beginning, so we start from skiing. So in 2011 we start skiing. So in 2012 we start skiing for women for the first time. So it was a big challenge. It was a big fear. So because my wife was arranging for me, helping me to help me with the training with the boys for skiing. So then she was saying, why not girls? Why girls cannot do skiing? So then I asked him, do you have girls? And she said, I can find. So she found some women, some girls from the neighborhood. And then we were same time we were very afraid. So because there was no money, because it cost a lot of money to give training to the woman. So in that time, I was asking the organization to help me to sponsor, to give some grant for the girls training, but no one was interested, and all the organization was gave me said no, because we do not want to be in a problem with the mullahs, with the religious people. But then I said, okay, I can do from my own budget, so from my own. But I said, if anyone say, I will say, okay, I don't take anyone's woman with me. My wife will do it. If anyone blame, so then my wife and me will be. I will say that, okay, I want democracy for my family as well, not for my neighbor. So I start with my wife, and same time there was a Norwegian lady. She was coming to help the ski training for boys, and then she said that is a good idea, so I can help her as well. So then my wife found a few girls from neighbors, from her friends, and then we went to start the skiing first time. So we heard a lot of things because I was born in Kabul. My family is in Kabul, but I was in Bamyan. I was working there. Then I found and I took my wife there. So then in Kabul, all my families, like relatives, they were not happy what I'm doing. So they were saying it's a shame that your wife is on the TV, on the news, because there was a lots of media from Kabul was covering. So then, honestly speaking, I didn't get anything from the Bamiyan community. So the people saw the first time the girls are skiing, but they were quiet. But even they were encouraged. So girls were at home, then they come to watch the race, and then slowly, I found that the people are just, they need to encourage them, and they will come out. So later on, then we start cycling. So the cycling, the girls came out and the cycling. So no one talked about them, and the government, the local government was supporting. So slowly from Bamyan, it started on the news. So then Kabul also started, and other, we trained some girls in Mazar Sharif, other parts, and Herat. Then we brought them to Bamyan, and then so girls came from there. Not, they could not do in their region, but they can do in Bamyan. So it's not their region. So then it's slowly now, I can see a big change actually. In Kabul now, girls are cycling, and then we organize some small marathon like 10K in Kabul. So I'm involved in some other activity in Kabul as well now. So then seems people are okay, but only in the big cities like Kabul, Herat, and Mazar Sharif. But still, we cannot do another province because Afghanistan has 34 provinces, but the other parts are not possible at all. So it's, but only in this big cities it's possible. But a lot of social media, a lot of people say bad things about this, but the girls are now enough strong, the women, they can uh, do whatever they want. So we have now very strong women, girls, and they are doing sports in Afghanistan in some parts.
Thanks a lot, Gul. Thanks a lot for sharing your
Thank you.
insight about the community in Afghanistan. Let's move on to Mr. Shrestha. Uh, we know that Nepal is famous for endurance events because it's in a hilly region. Let's talk about the elite athletes a little bit later, but let's talk about the community, like running groups, running clubs, cycling groups. So, what is the system in Nepal? How does the youngsters or youth who are interested in running or cycling, say even swimming, how do they get into this platform and how do they develop themselves as athletes?
Okay, thank you. Like I have very much difficulty to understand you people. I don't know, somewhere something is disturbing. I don't know. I'm here
Okay,
very close
do you
to
want
the modest just sitting here, even though I cannot hear you clear. Like, so
shall I
sometimes
repeat
it
it
comes to
again?
be
Shall I
clear
repeat
and
it again?
sometimes not. Anyway, I okay, I understood what you mean uh, about the youngsters, how we motivate youngsters. Actually, okay, like a kid is shouting somewhere, or is that with a line
I
problem? I
don't
don't
know.
know.
It's kids shouting somewhere. I don't know where.
Just,
Anyway, yeah, let's move on with that. Yeah, yeah. Yes, please.
okay. As I said, like so, it's very difficult to motivate young people in athletics because it is very dry. Okay. Also, in swimming is now, like in our days when I was athlete, it was very difficult to go for swimming. But today, even the parents are encouraging their kids to go to swimming, and they bring their kids there. And triathlon is very difficult because it's a mixture of three different sports, and even athletes don't want to train so hard. So we have really difficulties to get athletes in triathlon sports. But for me, I say, like to organize the championship is always a platform where you can encourage other athletes, young people to come there. And I always say, make a champion. So then, after you make a champion, the athletes, the youngsters will like to follow and be the athlete. So for me, after I came, I was in triathlon as a Secretary General. I started the first South Asian Championship ever. So there were no South Asian Championship. So I started South Asian Championship in 2012, and we have been organizing this continuously. And since 2 years now, we are organizing South Asian Championship and Asian Cup together. So since this year, actually, we would have hosted in April the second Asian Cup, but due to Corona, we couldn't do that. And now in the recent South Asian Games, 13 South Asian Games, Nepal had two gold medals. So one female triathlon and male duathlon. So, like these athletes have been training since 7, 8 years to get with us. They are in continuous training. So after the winners, like we won the gold medal, actually in total medal tally, we even beat India this time. India was always the powerhouse in South Asia. They have started very early. So now this year in South Asian Games, we beat even India. So this is a huge encouragement, and lots of people are attracted to triathlon sports. So, you know, I say, in my experience, to promote the youngsters and to attract youngsters in sport, we need to make stars. That is always. So I always take an example like in Germany, Boris Becker became Wimbledon champion, and every parents wanted to make their kids tennis player. And after the Steffi Graf won the Wimbledon, so every girls they wanted to play tennis. Since then, you can check in world uh, rank list, Germans are always there, even today on the top. So this is how you make tradition in sports. So you make stars and the followers come. So, but we have difficulties definitely in South Asia, and looking to our economic part, and even the understanding of governments, like how government takes sports, how how much priority they give to sports. These are things will still make difference and difficult for us in South Asia. But still, as we are in sports, and we should always see things positively, and never give up. Stay there, stay involved, and like I say, work hard. Someday people will understand. Now in South Asian 13 South Asian game, we were the host. Nepal was the host. So after we got encouragingly lots of medals, so now government is looking to sports in different way. They're investing more. So these are the things that we people in sports need to have patience and try to produce champions. So thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing the insight about the youth in Nepal. So moving on to Mr. Diyanat Ali. You're in a part of organizing team as far as Hyderabad Triathlon is concerned. So do you find
If
any elite?
if you allow me,
Yes, please.
if if you allow me, I think I should take leave, because like I really I'm not understanding what you're saying. I'll follow up everything in your Facebook live. So recorded also, I can check that. I'm sorry. I think I will take leave now.
All right. So yeah, you can still be there online. No worries. I think there's some signal issue over there in Nepal. Uh, Probably you can get back to us. So Mr.
Because hello,
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So, Mr. Diyanat Ali, we are talking about the triathlon. You're part of the organizing
I
committee.
cannot.
you're part of organizing committee as far as the Hyderabad triathlon is concerned. So you see a lot of elite kind of athletes, especially in triathlon, since Ironman is also coming up, and a lot of athletes from different cities take part in Ironman championships. So, do you find any scope for people who are going for Ironman and who wants to, hit the personal best in Ironman? Is there any scope for them to focus in this Hyderabad triathlon and try to get some exposure and go for such a huge events, mega events?
Yeah, there's a pattern that I've noticed since 2011. A lot of people started with smaller triathlons. They started with novice sprint, then they did the Olympic, and eventually they moved on to doing international triathlons. So a lot of people from Hyderabad and other parts of the city, they go to international triathlons. And recently we also had a triathlon in Goa. So yeah, I can see that pattern. So we can say that there are at least 10 to 12 people who have done Ironmans over from here as well. And it has also become a trend after Milind Soman has done the Ironman, and a lot of people aspire for it. When they look at these Bollywood celebrities, then it becomes more famous. More people would like to be. However, it's also a tough sport, and it's not easy. So it requires a lot of training, a lot of coaching as well. There are some trainers and coaches also who have started coaching others, and I feel that in the next 4 to 5 years, India will produce a lot of athletes who will go all around the world, compete in Ironman and all. So there's a lot of talent that is there in the youngsters. They need more support, more coaching, more finance, because this is a very tough sport. It's not like single running or cycling. It requires 3 different sports and requires a lot of training and practice. And for a triathlete to build up, it takes years. So 4 or 5 years until they're able to get to that Ironman level. But I see that, yes, it is catching up. A lot of people have goals and aspirations to do the Ironman. And there are people who do Ironman quite a few number of times. We have an athlete here, triathlete here from Hyderabad, Sunil Menon. So he has been all over the world, to Sri Lanka and a lot of other places. So that trend is definitely there. And I see that it will continue to grow as more awareness is created. However, I feel that there's a need of training, coaching, encouragement, and motivation also from the government to support this. I know that the committees do support. However, a lot of people who do Ironman tend to come more from private lives, more professionals are getting into this. Thank you.
So I would like to share one information, Mr. Ali. We have athletes from Bangladesh, especially Mr. Abdullah Tahir Chowdhury, who was one of the podium finishers in Hyderabad Triathlon. Today he was supposed to join us in the show, but unfortunately due to a little bit of delay and all these things, technical lacks, etc., he couldn't be able to join us. But I'm sure that he's watching from somewhere, and he is happy to see you live talking about Hyderabad Triathlon. There are a lot of athletes from Bangladesh who are training for duathlon, which is 4-man series. And as far as the triathlon is concerned, Ironman, there are a lot of athletes who are very competitive, who are training for this over a period of time, very long period of time. And Mr. Tahir has took part and he has won the championship, and he is looking forward to come again to Hyderabad and to compete again with our Indian athletes and other athletes from different countries. And he's also trying to bring a lot of other athletes from Alps. Alps is name of the group, where they work in a technical way of training in running, cycling, or triathlon. So they do technically. So they are focusing for this. I believe when all these situation comes to normal, there's a huge team from Bangladesh which will be joining in Hyderabad triathlon. So just a small
Wonderful
thing which I would like to share. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I remember meeting Tahir, and I welcome the team to come again and do participate.
Yeah, it's as per the conversation which we had, like it was like one of the best events in India as far as the triathlon is concerned. So I'm quite glad that you're maintaining that kind of status, and athletes from other countries are coming and taking part in India, and they are keeping the event very competitive. So that's nice. That's nice thing.
Yes, yeah. And I would also like to mention that we are a non-profit organization, and a lot of volunteers run the show. And there are 50 dedicated volunteers year by year who take care of the operations and leadership. And then we have a good pool of 500 volunteers who help us to conduct this triathlon. And all of them come because of spirit of volunteering and would want the sport to go ahead. So just wanted to appreciate them, my gratitude to them for contributing year after year with a passion. Thank you so much.
I think Hyderabad has that kind of sportsmanship. I've seen in Hyderabad Marathon as well. In 3 years, when I've been running and pacing, the volunteers, the way they involve and they make this event successful is something phenomenal. I think it's like Mumbai. And in South, we have Hyderabad, which is like, I would say, number one. Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot for sharing about the insight. Moving on to Mr. Gull. Gull, you have been seeing a lot of athletes, training for in elite level in the sense the people who are representing Afghanistan and going to different championships. It could be Ironman, it could be marathons, it could be powerman, anything for the matter of fact. But you see a lot of elite kind of athletes. So can you please share about how do they train, where do they train, and how does this process happen?
Yeah. So actually, as I have seen or I know some of the sports, we have also this Ironman. We there's a American lady. She is helping 4 girls in Afghanistan to train them and take them to the races. I think this year, I don't remember. It was, I think, beginning of this year or last year we had. They joined in Dubai. So the 2 girls joined from Afghanistan for Iron Woman or Iron Man. So they were training in Afghanistan. Some of the training, and some like swimming. It's not possible in Afghanistan. They did in Dubai. But I'm involved in winter sport. So we have a.
So Gul, I
Sorry?
think that's quite phenomenal story. Sorry for interrupting you. I've seen that video clipping somewhere where 2 or 3 women from Afghanistan traveled to UAE or somewhere where they were training and they were doing some phenomenal work. So wow, that's nice thing actually. I totally forgot about it and you're sharing about it. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
So yeah, these girls are my friends. So because we are from same region and we work together. So we have other organization that works like Free to Run. Free to Run is our marathon partners. So they are encouraging school girls, and then they give them training. They have office in 3 or 4 parts of Afghanistan, region of Afghanistan. So then they have office, and they encourage these families to allow their daughters for the training. So I think the Free to Run is very successful. And then we have another one, this Ascent. Ascent, there is an American woman, and she helped. She find the sponsors from United States. Then she gave training to girls for climbing. So last year we were introduced. We worked together for the winter sport festival. Then before I didn't know them very well. So they are doing high climbing and rock climbing. So it's about 20 members, like girls from different parts of Afghanistan. Then they are gave them training, and so I think there's some embassies or some donation fundraising, and outside Afghanistan, they sponsor this project. So these are happening now. It's a good programs. But we have like other sports that I'm a little bit involved, like curling and snowboarding, skiing. I'm also actually I'm Secretary General for Ski Federation. So because ski is very new and in Afghanistan, it's also there's no support from government. We are struggling. We are working very hard. It's almost 10 years, but there's no sponsor, no government support. So it's really difficult. But I'm trying. Each year we are getting better and better. So there's no sponsor for the clubs. So they're all spending their money, so their own pocket for their clubs and for their the federation has nothing to help them. Just I help them to what I can do, like I can organize some event, and I get the sponsorship from the telecommunication. I organize like each year one event called Winter Sports Festival. So I invite them in one province, then they can do the races there. So I think the athletes in Afghanistan has a very tough life. It's very difficult for them, and some of they are official member of the federations, so they get per year per month 1,000 Afghani. It's about $15 per month. So it's difficult to manage with 1,000 Afghani. And even sometimes, honestly speaking, the government doesn't pay them on time. It's like after 6 months they give them this money. So really, we have problem. The athletes of Afghanistan, they have really problems, and the safety is also. And a lot of athletes, when they get a little bit high profile, and they are in danger. So a lot of them was attacked in the cities by his competitors or something. We don't know. Yeah. So yeah, these are the problems. Yeah.
So I think I also heard about American Embassy organizing one more marathon in Afghanistan. Is it true, or else did they organize before your organization?
Sorry, you said that inside the embassy, or
United States
what?
Embassy, U.S. Embassy.
Actually, so that's each year there is some marathons happening, like in a small compound. So it's inside the compound. Others from outside are not allowed. So these are only some people are allowed. They go those who have good relation. So even because I'm one of the organizer, I don't get any invitation. I don't know when it's happening, but it's happening sometimes in some UN compound, some marathon, and sometimes it's happening inside a building. Like you have to climb the stairs to 5 floor and come back. So I don't know. So I haven't tried that. But we did some short one in Kabul. That's I'm involved. So so this is separate from the embassies. So because of the security issues, we do not involved with any embassies because of the security. So we are independent, non-profit organization.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussein. So moving on to Mr. Ali, talking about development aspect of the triathlon and adventure sports. Let's talk about more of adventure sports, which we have been ignoring. And how do you see the development aspect? Are people are more interested, and is there any scope for people to get into such a kind of adventure sports in near future?
Yeah, as far as adventure sports are there, it is mostly recreational. So people here would want to go and do adventure sports to enjoy it. However, professionals who would like to, live a life of being a climber or a mountaineer, you know, are very few. I mean, you'll find handful of them who dedicate their life to a career in sports, adventure sports. A majority of them, I think 99% of the market is recreational. People who would want to have a good time, they would like to take up adventure activities. Most famous are trekking and hiking because it's easy access, doesn't require skill. All you need is a shoe, a backpack, a water bottle, torchlight, and some basic guidelines, and then you can get started with that. That is the first step that people get started, and from there they might get interested into rock climbing, which is also a tough sport. It requires a lot of practice, especially if you're doing bouldering. So those are something that people take up after trekking. The South India is blessed with a lot of granite rocks, and they're very beautiful. From Hampi, Badami in Karnataka to Hyderabad and all surrounding areas. So we have rocks. In fact, my home was in front of rocks. We have grown up climbing rocks, sleeping on rocks. So a lot of childhood among nature, and that's where my adventure started. But I see that there is scope. We have the Indian Mountaineering Foundation, which takes care of promoting elite sports. We have a lot of peaks where a lot of mountaineers go and climb. So a lot of people are beginning mountaineering. I think that's the next sport people are taking up because it creates a lot of motivation, and there is an alternative career along with being a mountaineer. You can also be a motivational speaker, and that helps you balance doing the sport. So I see a lot of mountaineers, they get into mountaineering and they are supported. They are supported by doing motivational talks. A lot of corporates would like to invite them. So there you find this good mix and match of doing a sport, becoming a mountaineer, and also earning money as a motivational speaker. However, for people who want to do pure rock climbing, bouldering, they don't have much support because they are doing climbing somewhere else and nobody knows. There is no celebrity status to it. And wherever there's celebrity status, wherever either corporate is involved or public is involved, then there is support of sponsorship. I think in any adventure sports or any sports, sponsorship is very important. Either should come from government or should come from public. So some of these sports do get sponsorship. Running does get some sponsorship easily. Mountaineering does get, and also there was a film called Everest in Bollywood which came up, and therefore a lot of people knew about it. So that promotes it. However, I see that a lot of youngsters, especially millennials and the new generations, they would like to do such activities. It gives them a lot of freedom, and they're also more connected with nature. A lot of youngsters would want to preserve nature. They want to go explore. There's also a way of self-discovery from them. When they go out, spend some time with themselves, also take up these challenges. It helps them with personal development. So I see a lot of these things. However, I think a lot of support and sponsorship is required for people to take up adventure sports as a career, either a rock climber or a mountaineer or any other sports. Like we also have scuba diving, we have paragliding, we have skydiving. However, not many people get into it. One is cost of the sport. Second is the time it takes to train. However, I see that trekking and hiking will always be there. A majority of people would continue to do that. It also adds to the local domestic tourism. It's a revenue generation. It's a huge revenue generation for domestic tourism. It also gets a lot of people from abroad. A lot of people come here to climb peaks, do trekking. So that way it adds to tourism. And I know that North India side, there are more professionals in the sport than in the South, also because of the difference in terrain. South will be more flatter land, and North you have more peaks. So there are more opportunities there. However, it's a struggling field. Anybody who wants to make a career in outdoors and adventure is a struggling field. and those who get into this for recreation and all supporting this industry. What I sense is it will grow up, and as the government gets involved, more routes are opened up, forest department gets involved. I see a lot of potential in India. There are a lot of peaks that are still virgin. People haven't climbed. A lot of routes that needs to be explored. But there is good significant community, I would say maybe around 10 to 15 lakhs who are regularly involved in trekking, hiking. And every city has many adventure clubs from Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, Nagpur, and Cochin. So these metro cities have good adventure clubs, and a lot of youngsters are involved in these activities. And I see that it will grow on year by year. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to add a point here as far as the cost which you were talking about. The cost, that I heard, yeah, it's quite expensive. Let's talk. The first question which I would like to ask you is, yeah, it's expensive, agreed. How do the people manage, especially people who are already working in corporate, perhaps get the support from the company, but for people who are not working, who are just focusing this as a professional thing, maybe less, but still, they might be looking into a way of getting into sport just because of the cost. They might be thinking it twice or thrice. First thing is that how do they manage the cost? Second thing is that I heard from Mr. Sai Baba, who played Ranji Trophy for Hyderabad long time back. He's also involved in kayaking and other stuff as per his information. He told that Hyderabad is quite cheaper because in Chennai, when you look at the Madras Boat Club, they're quite expensive as far as the getting membership, or if you want to train, even for the sake of recreational thing, it's quite expensive. And I heard that Hyderabad that, rowing club, or what is there in that Necklace Road, there's Mr. Suhain, or someone is managing it, right?
Hussain Sagar, Suhaim Sheikh.
Yeah. So he's doing phenomenal job. I heard that it's not quite expensive, as expensive as the one here in Chennai or maybe in Bangalore. So I heard that one as a quite a positive note. So two things. First thing is that Hyderabad is quite cheaper as far as this kind of sports, water sport or maybe adventure sport. Thanks to you as well, you're putting a lot of efforts in this. And second thing is that how do the people who are quite interested, how do they manage? Or maybe you can also suggest to the people how to manage it. So three questions involved in this.
Yeah. So Hyderabad is blessed with lakes. Once upon a time, we had 900 lakes in the city. I think almost half of them are disappeared. And Hussain Sagar is a very prominent lake. And as you already mentioned, the Hyderabad Yachting Club does a lot of kayaking. Suhaim Sheikh has been instrumental in promoting kayaking. We have jointly organized the Hyderabad Kayakathon there. And yes, anybody who would like to get into the yachting club is there to support them. And it's not very costly. You can get started anytime with basics of learning kayaking and sailing also. I mean, the yachting club does sailing as well. However, it does require a constant amount of sponsorship, especially if somebody is not earning, they would need sponsorship. And if people are earning, then it's a little easy for them. However, just to answer your question on how people currently do it, yes, Hyderabad, I mean, is not so costly as other cities when compared to Mumbai or Bangalore. And there are organizations, especially non-profit organizations, that support the community to come up, and you'll find that support immediately. For example, if you want to get into running, if you want to get into kayaking, if you want to get into adventure, climbing and all, so that community support is there. And they will help you climb that initial few steps to get training. However, as you get into competitive sport, or if you're taking up personal challenges, that is where you will need sponsorship. And I see a lot of athletes, especially climbers, they get sponsorships from corporates, or they might get sponsorship from the government. The government was very instrumental in supporting the Everest climbers here. And Shekhar Babu, who runs Transcend Adventures here, has been instrumental in taking people to the Everest. So both the Telangana government and the Andhra Pradesh government, they give a lot of sponsorship, especially to rural youth. to help them, climb the Everest. And there have been many such climbers from here. So we can see that either there's a government support or there's a corporate support, which is necessary to help people get into serious sports like mountaineering and all. And there is another sport like speed climbing or bouldering, which are not so famous. It doesn't have much of a celebrity status. It is very tough to practice the sport. It is costly also because you need specialized shoes, you need specialized diet, and you have to keep your weight low. And some of my friends who are into that, they really struggle with sponsorship because nobody is ready to sponsorship. And recently, speed climbing has been added to Olympic Association, and hopefully now more support will come from the government. However, all climbing initiatives that were done were mostly personal. People, generating funds and putting out of their pocket, and that's how climbing has survived over here. However, I see there is scope for it, and if somebody wants to get seriously involved in it, a sponsor is very important, so that you can dedicate your focus into training, in resting, and specializing, getting mastery in your sport, then running around, for sponsorships. A good way is to get associated with any of the clubs and get associated with other people who can help you in reaching out to corporates or represent you at the government or do some, social fundraising for you. So there are various ways. And I know that it cannot be done individually. It will be very tough. It's good to take support of local associations, clubs, and therefore have a handful of people who can help manage you, manage your activity, manage your money, and therefore you will be able to go ahead. And if you see every athlete, they will have a team who manages them, somebody who does the PR, somebody who helps with sponsorships. There's always a team around an athlete. So building that support system and team is very important if we want to get into any kind of serious sports. Otherwise, individually, it might be a hobby. You can go practice and come back. You might not progress much without it. And yeah, so these are few ideas around what youngsters or anybody who would want to get into this field can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So moving on to Mr. Gull Hussian, we are talking about sponsorship, funding, etc. So Afghanistan, since it has a few issues which are going around, and I'm not sure about the corporate culture, how it works in Afghanistan. How do you guys fetch money for sponsorship of the events? First thing is that how do the event organizers try to get the funds or sponsorship? Second is how do the athletes get sponsorship to travel to different places to take part in the events?
Yeah. So as my experience for some of our event, I think for let's say for marathon, so those athletes that they are coming membering some of the club or some organization, so even the organization has to pay them some money, like free to run. So they organize the training. So each month they pay, like I'm not sure about how much, but they are paying some amount that give them the transport and some expenses that they do. So the organization has to pay, but the organization do some fundraising outside in Europe and America. So they have to find. So sometimes they don't share this to outsiders. And for the marathon, what we get the marathon cost in Afghanistan is about £10,000 each year, because our finance is in UK, so he managed our finance. So then from the £10,000, we only get like a few thousand from inside Afghanistan, like the telecommunication. One of the telecommunication gave us like $3,500. This is the local sponsorship, but also this is we call them the main sponsorship. So in UK, so my friends, they are doing charity fundraising, and some people donate. So we get these money through this for the events. For the athletes, I think the athletes are really having problems, and some of them get a small amount money. But the problem is why we do not have a lot of athletes for the races or for the competition outside. Most of them because of the sponsorship. The sponsorship is very difficult inside Afghanistan, and because of the economic situation we face. So there's a big companies, when we reach them, they says, oh, this year we did not get business, so they don't. Actually, also, I can tell you the culture of sponsorship is not yet happen in Afghanistan. So the companies, they don't give money to athletes, and they just give to TV and make a clip. So these are most of the businesses doing this, and they don't do through the athletes. This is one of the issues we have. And also the other problem is, this is the athletes problem. So they don't know how to approach to the companies to get a sponsor. I think what I was hearing from this discussion, I think I'm very keen to because we just know what we learn from inside, but inside we don't have anything background. So I was thinking maybe we can have a exposure visit training to Hyderabad, to Alibhai, or Nepal, so we can learn from there, and how to approach to a sponsorship, how to make proposal, and how should we convince them. So I think these are very important for Afghans and Afghan athletes. Still, we are very in first step. We don't know. We really need support, and these are the situation in our country for athletes. Thank you.
Yeah,
So, Mr.
we will
Ali,
be glad to help you out in whatever we
Yeah,
can,
that will
and
be
there is a
great.
lot that we can also learn from you as well. There's always an exchange in the way we support each other.
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah.
Mr. Ali, on a lighter note, you've been traveling to different countries, even to Iraq and other countries. So, do you have any plans to go to Afghanistan for Afghanistan marathon
Why
during the
not?
time of
Of course.
yeah?
Yes, yes. I think Afghanistan is one place that I would like to visit, and I know that once upon a time the subcontinent was one, and people could freely travel across. And I have a lot of Afghanis in Hyderabad. We have a lot of restaurants, Afghani restaurants here. So there's a good culture of a lot of Afghanis here, and they're very sweet. And the way they speak Hindi is more sweet than the local Hyderabad Deccani. And yes, of course, I would like to go visit the subcontinent. I mean, why I haven't gone to Afghanistan is because of the situation there, and hopefully I look forward. I would like to come to Hazara. I have a lot of friends out there as well. Would like to come meet there. I would like to do some trekking as well there. A lot of adventures, sand dunes, beautiful mountains in Afghanistan, and the lovely culture. If you see, a lot of Bollywood movies have been influenced by the Afghani culture. Khuda Gawah was
Yes.
one where it was there. So would like to witness that. And it's very different when you actually go to the place, that culture, that ambience, and there you get immersed into that local culture, the food, the music, the people, connecting with their hearts. It's a very different experience. And I love traveling a lot. I've traveled to Iran, and while Iran, I have almost came close to Afghanistan border. I traveled a lot in Iran. I spent almost 1 month. I met a lot of Afghani refugees there, and they were telling me how it was and how they came over to Iran. So I went to a city called Mahan, and there I found so many Afghanis there. I went to there. There's a famous Sufi saint there, whose sons were, who came to Hyderabad and also to Bidar. and I wanted to visit his Massimilian there. So I went there and I saw a lot of Afghanis there. So good to meet them. And some of them also speak Hindi as well, because Hindi and Urdu are almost closer. So we are very close to my heart. It is one of the place on my checklist. And hopefully now, since we know Gull, I think we can take this relationship ahead, and we can invite the Afghani team, come over to Hyderabad, and we can host you here. There's a lot of learning and exchange that we can do with each other. Yeah, I look forward to come to Afghanistan. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ali Bhai. I think I have actually, I don't know if I mentioned, I have a tour company called Silk Road Afghanistan. So I like traveling around Afghanistan, but I can, this will be fantastic if you, Vijay Bhai and Ali Bhai, if you come, I will be your guide. I will show you all Afghanistan. So, and yeah,
Wonderful.
I love, yeah, to travel as well. I have been to India.
It will be an honor.
We'll send a team from here, from Hyderabad. We'll send some team on exploration with you.
Yeah, that will be great.
It'll be an honor actually to come to Afghanistan and explore the country. If during a time of marathon, we can also run, and it'll be an awesome thing. Especially when you have like Mr. Diyanat Ali, who has a lot of knowledge. It's not just for a matter of fact we just travel and come back. He knows about each and everything, the nature. So to learn a lot of things from different perspectives is something phenomenal. It's once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I think that will be great. So now I can tell you have a home in Afghanistan. So it's like your home.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Thank you so much for your invitation.
Yeah, I think even Mr. Hussain, Gull Hussian, I think learning is not a time constraint thing. It's endless. You keep learning it over a period of time until we are alive. So learning, it's not only you come to India, you learn a lot of things about how to organize the events, etc., sponsorship. Even we people, when we come to Afghanistan or we're going to Pakistan, we learn a lot of things and we get to know a lot of people, culture, etc. So it's such a wonderful thing. Sports is giving a platform. Like I said to Mr. Diyanat Ali before this call or before this conversation, so the sports is bridging the platform, between the countries, which is something phenomenal. Today, you're sitting from Afghanistan, we are sitting from India, Hassan is sitting from Bangladesh. So we're all having different people from different countries. So that's quite a phenomenal thing. Yeah. So, Mr. Ali, how about this government support in Telangana? I should be specific if I'm talking about India, because India is a huge country. It has a lot of states. So, talking specifically about Telangana, how is the support from the government?
I think support is more around usage of infrastructure, and the government does support. Thodi der se. So I start checking if I want to have dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, now we are working out of home, so home office is same space. Yeah. So I was telling there is good support. The government has invested a lot into sports infrastructure. So in terms of swimming pool, in terms of tracks, running tracks and all are there. We have the Gachibowli Stadium, and likewise we have a lot of dozen stadiums around Hyderabad, and the government does support. They give this at a very concessional rate, and you generally get to host events at 5% of the cost versus what others would charge you. So infrastructure support is definitely there from the government, and they do support you with permissions, police permissions and other support if you want ambulance services and all. So that is there. Monetary support is also there sometimes. However, we for triathlon we haven't got it, but we did get for Hyderabad Rockathon is a fully sponsored event from the tourism department. So that is taken care by the government. So yes, infrastructure-wise, it is there. And when they see that the sport is associated with Olympics, and if people will represent India, then they are ready to invest into it. They sponsor the candidate. If it is not there, for example, climbing, climbing was not there for many years, so they won't be interested. They'll always ask, it's just an Olympic sport. So if it's not an Olympic sport, very difficult. If it's cricket, there's a lot of sponsorship. And if it's football, yes. If it's hockey, yes. If it's swimming, yes. So anything that is part of Olympic gets supported. Which is not part of Olympic, it's a struggle, and people have to raise their own sponsorship. However, I feel government needs to do more. Just infrastructure support is not enough. Just encouragement is not enough. They need to support the community. They need to support the adventure clubs. Apart from infrastructure, I think most of these clubs need monetary support. If we want to build up a climbing wall, we need monetary support. And if you need to have a few people dedicated to carry on these activities, even they can be hired by clubs, because most of us are volunteers, and sometimes we need one or two people to run the club dedicatedly. So these are some ways of how government support can definitely help. However, I know at the same time, most of our clubs, including our clubs, is very self-sufficient in terms of how we do fundraising. However, there is this challenge always, around money. We always feel that, if we could raise money, we could do so much more. If we could raise money, we could do so much more. That's always there. Money sometimes becomes a constraint, and there is always this financial issue that comes up suddenly, and then you run around raising sponsorships. There is no guarantee of sponsorship from private parties or corporates. They might sometimes give you, they might not sometimes give you, or they might reduce the amount. So that's a little uncertainty around that. And that is where we ourselves come, we gather money from our pockets, or we cut the costs, whatever is non-essential. Can we do away with music? Can we, have a little simple food? And can we manage our own transport? So that way we are able to manage. However, if the government creates a budget, that will help take the sport ahead. And it's not only about sport, it's about the social fitness of the people in the city. It's about that health consciousness. More people taking part in activities will definitely raise health index. It will definitely help people be more healthy, and therefore it will also result in reduction of diseases. It will increase in age, lifestyle. So a lot of ways of how not only sports, but I see how it is interconnected to a lot of other social aspects which can be supported through government sponsorships. And we continue. It's not that we don't. Every year we write, we make representations. I mean, we keep on doing that. And there is hope. It is not that the government always says there is no budget for sports because focus is on education or focus is more on tourism. However, sports is a very necessary part of growing up. It is equal to education. I mean, sports is education itself. Okay. And I feel that government investing into it will definitely be a lot of support to the citizens and to all these associations, clubs that go through monetary struggle. It will ease them and it will help take the sport ahead. So I am ending this with that there is hope. I mean, it's not like, and we are happy with whatever support we get in terms of infrastructure and other sponsorship for Olympic activities. However, there is need of still more support from the government. Thank you.
So before dispersing this conversation, I'll be asking one question to Mr. Gull Hussian, and also to you one question, Mr. Ali. You have invited Mr. Peter Van Gate from Chennai Trekking Club, and he's an inspiration for a lot of people from Chennai and Tamil Nadu. So what did you saw the thing which he's doing unique or something like which has inspired you, and what made you to feel like Chennai Trekking Club is also good enough or equivalent to the Great Hyderabad Adventure Club?
Yeah, I definitely believe in equality of all humans, irrespective of the activity. And I mean to say
that I mean to say not the equality, the kind of the activities or involvement. I'm telling you about equivalent. Equivalent in a sense, it's like how do you value the amount of commitment, interest towards sport as a community?
Yeah. When it comes to commitment, I definitely see that the Chennai Trekking Club is very committed. I have been there twice. I've met Peter many times. And that's a super, very dedicated community. And I think Tamilians are known for commitment, social commitment. And that's a key strength they have. The way I see that they do events in very simple manner, and they utilize whatever natural resources are there, and they have awesome volunteer support. I should really, appreciate them on that. Really, I'm proud of what they bring to the sport. A lot of volunteer support, and I'm not comparing it anyway. Every city has its own flavor. In Hyderabad, we are more organized. We have more infrastructure here, and they have been using a lot of natural resources, which requires more preparation, more support. And the way they use natural lakes to conduct triathlon is really commendable. Keeping safety and priority. That's like more work. Running in a triathlon in a swimming pool with multiple laps is much safer than what preparation it requires in open lake. And I know that they have also used a lot of forest areas around for running the triathlons that they do. And in Hyderabad, we have been usually using the service roads. So there is a difference, however, in terms of volunteer commitment, in terms of the passion to organize triathlon, in terms of contributing to the sport, is definitely, I think, equal. It comes from the heart, and every volunteer does it because about the passion to share and to contribute to the community. I think that's where we sink in together. The model is almost same. The intention is to promote the sport and be part of it. So that sharing, that commitment, that volunteerism is what drives it together. And of course, sports is there, which brings us together. It helps us develop personally. It helps us reach our goals. And sometimes when we take part in these activities, we grow as a person. Right? We discover ourselves. We discover our strengths. I think for each volunteer, the journey of self-discovery is also there. When each of them participate in these activities, when they take up different challenges, they learn leadership skills, they learn how to work as teams, which is so precious, training. And you get a very live training in a community. And I see many of these volunteers, whatever they work over here, helps them in their personal and professional life. And a lot of corporates, they really look forward to people who take part in sports, because that's evidence that they have a team spirit, that they have the courage, the risk-taking ability to do things, and that's what they want back in corporates, and that is demonstrated in these places. So yeah, when I see any community club, I see that yes, it runs on the spirit of volunteerism, and it runs on the spirit of sharing a sport together. Thank you.
So one suggestion I have as far as Hyderabad Triathlon is concerned, which I got from one of the athletes, that is to just control the traffic during the time of running leg or maybe the cycling leg, where the traffic is let out. So if that could be controlled, that would be an amazing event in India, because everything is perfect. Even as per swimming pool, swimming in the swimming pool is also accepted because due to the constraint, and other aspects are also accepted. Everything is perfect, like I said, medal arrangement, bib center, everything is perfect. Only this point was just a small suggestion which was told by one of the athletes. So I believe that could be implemented sooner or later.
Yeah, thank you. I think we generally work with the traffic police over here, and they give us half the road where traffic shouldn't come. However, we never know who's coming from where, and people come from randomly, and it's not like a holiday or it's not like a curfew. So people don't know that they don't have to take this route, and sometimes they come in. And I know that it can be managed with more volunteers maybe also telling people in the surrounding villages, neighborhoods, not to come on that route. Yeah, I will talk to our team and see that how we can make it more efficient in terms of traffic. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last question to Mr. Gull Hussian. I'm sorry for making you to wait, you both, although it's getting late. Gull Hussian, the same question which I asked to Mr. Ali regarding the government support which you get
No,
as far
that's
as your
okay.
events are concerned. And the last thing is that about the is there any scope for the tourism in Afghanistan to develop through marathons?
I think for the local government, like Bamyan, as my activity, most of the sports activities are in Bamyan. So Bamyan local government, they are very supportive, not cash, but they say that don't ask me money, but whatever other service you want, like police, security, car. So all the government is at the service. So they are very supportive, but only cash, they say, I'm sorry, you don't have. But they are very, very supportive and they really help. And during the marathon, they block the roads and they always give us lots of scores. So they are really supportive and they help. And then the next one was I forgot.
Tourism.
The
How
next
do you see
question
the
was
scope and how do you see the scope of development in tourism through marathon in Afghanistan?
yes. I think a lot. So I think at the many years back, like 10 years back, we had only culture tourism. So this was in a season. So then the sports tourism, not only marathon, skiing brought winter tourists. So winter tourism. So we when we organized the skiing, so lots of international coming and a lots of media, international media coming. So it become a season, a tourism season. So then the marathon that we organize, it's autumn. So in autumn, most of the tourism was not in a good season for. But then the marathon, Bamyan, like the places, like how beautiful, because we organized the marathon not in the and the where the Buddha is. We organized in the valley, one of the valley, or around the lake. So then we gave them a good picture of that season, like autumn. How beautiful is the tree in that time, and also the media, I think it helped a lot. So it make actually now we call the Bamyan as 4 season tourist destination. Before it was one time, one summer, but now it's 4 seasons. So good effect for tourism. So not only marathon but other sports as well.
So thanks a lot to the honorable guests who are here today. So let me start thanking from alphabetical order. I would like to thank Mr. Diyanat Ali from India, who's the organizer of Hyderabad Triathlon and the founder and CEO of Great Hyderabad Adventure Club. Next is Mr. Gull Hussian from Afghanistan. He's an organizer of Marathon of Afghanistan. And I would also like to thank Mr. Nilendra Raj Shrestha, who is also the chief of Kathmandu Marathon. So I would like to thank all you three honorable guests, and I would like to thank Mr. Hasim for giving me this opportunity to host this show, and also to discuss about a lot of things which we all do not know about. Especially a country like Afghanistan, we would love to learn about it. We love to hear the stories from the people. Now it's a great opportunity for me and other people, especially the viewers from different parts of the world, to come and to hear about the man who's from Afghanistan, and he was discussing about it. And not only that, we also heard about a lot of things like bouldering, kayathon, kayaking, rowing, etc. So it's something phenomenal which we do not hear in our usual life. So now we got this opportunity to know more about these things and even about triathlon as well. So it's a really honorable honor for me to get to learn about this. I'm humbled to have all you in this show. I would like to also thank all the viewers and even Mr. Gofur, I suppose, who has commented excellent. So I would like to thank him as well and the viewers as well for joining the show. So I would like to say a goodbye to all and have a great night. Bye.
Thank you, Vijay. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Welcome. Welcome.